Let's start with one I got last night because I've already read it, so I know what the question is. Could you share with us your top priorities for SBA this fiscal year, and what, as your partner, what can we do to help you achieve that?
Thank you. Is this on now? Oh, come to the mic. So the top priorities for this year, well, first of all, have to say that you've already helped us achieve many of them. And as you saw from that graph out, I actually am very often, whether it's up at the White House or with our friends at Treasury or up on the Hill, and I carry that chart around and I call it our 6-month, now 7-month report card. And it's really to your credit. So thank you again for helping us achieve that. We had 3 priorities when we came in. The first was to implement the Recovery Act. The second is to reinvigorate the agency. And the third has been to be this strong voice for small business throughout the administration. I think where we are right now is that we put some what I call points on the board, thanks to your help. But we still have a ways to go, as you know. We are not yet in a place where small business has as much access to credit as I think we need to grow fully and create the jobs that we need. So we are now in the process of listening to you. I've done a lot of listening in the past couple days, and I think we're all going to do some more to hear exactly how the market is, because our objective is to create those jobs. We know we have to create those jobs, and we know access to capital is one of those critical components.
Okay, there's several cards on the question of stimulus, and we're getting close to the end of stimulus money. The provisions have clearly worked, and could you update us on what could be done to extend stimulus for at least a few more months?
Well, once again, I have to say, it's really to your credit that stimulus has worked. And it's not just the money we've put out, it's the 1,200 banks that are back lending with us. And we appreciate your partnership, and one of the things is that we're not going to let you down. We don't want to surprise you. We want to be transparent in our new partnership with you, because we want this partnership to go on for years and years and years. We said at the beginning that we expected that this money would last through November, December. We're tracking it every week. We think we're pretty much on that track, and we are going to be looking very hard, as you know. You just heard that we're going to look at these increased loan sizes. So we are looking very hard at everything that is happening in the marketplace so that we can understand what the appropriate activities are in order to make sure that we continue to do what you guys have done so well for us, which is get points of access and actual capital into the hands of small business.
Okay, next, you referenced the alternative size standard. Is there a chance that it could remain in place permanently for the 7A program?
Well, as you know, there have been many, many discussions about size standards. And I have, I think, as many proposals on that as there are probably people in this room on what we should do. There's a number of principles that we're looking at in terms of size standards. We think we want to have the appropriate amount of access. You know, this is a big thing for small businesses, not for big businesses. So we want to make sure that we are delivering to our community and using our resources appropriately. We like simplicity. We probably don't have a perfect simplicity record at the moment, but I think that's a second one of the principles. So we are reviewing a lot of options with regard to size standards, and I think this is something that we would really like to hear more about from you. Eric Zarnico is thinking a lot about this on a day-to-day basis, so this is a good opportunity for you to have some input on that.
Next, when the President was in Maryland last week and announced his support for the $5 million 7A loan, he also referred to some sort of upcoming meeting drawing in players to discuss SBA and its programs. Can you tell us when this might happen, and how does one get invited to sit at that table?
It's like those lotteries thing, you know, the prizes, the door prizes, you know, if you put your business card in, maybe we'll draw it out. Well, one of the things that we really appreciate, many of you have come up with some great ideas. We are right now working on exactly the date. We think it will be in the later part of November, but no, we're working with Treasury on exactly the date. We're working on what the format will be, but we do know a couple things. This is exactly the right next step. It's kind of the way the President, the White House, and we operate. You know, we do this on a pretty continuous basis. We have roundtables, we have listening sessions, we have town halls, we have ways that we ask some of you to give us input. I just have to tell you, we really appreciate the effort you made. I've had Tony fly in like on a drop of a hat to be at a meeting where it's very important that these voices be heard. So I know that sometimes it requires quick turnaround. All I can say is we really appreciate you being there, all of you who can be, and we may be asking many of you to participate.
How will the new Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship under the Treasury affect the SBA? Does access to capital mean direct lending?
There is actually at the Department of Commerce, Gary Locke recently announced an advisory group to help him in the areas of innovation and also in entrepreneurship. This is something where we are working very closely together. We also have an advisory council and a set of activities at the SBA around entrepreneurship, and we have joined forces with Commerce in a number of initiatives, including activity around clusters, including activity around exports, to work together to turn this innovation into jobs, to create more jobs. We have a terrific partnership. I'll say one thing about this administration and our relationship with other cabinet heads. We have excellent relationships, and the reason that everybody wants to partner with us is really because of this bone structure I described that you're part of. It's very important. Very few other agencies have the kind of infrastructure on the ground that we have between our counselors, our banking partners. And so in answer to the second question about direct lending, we do direct lending in our disaster operations, where we come into, I don't know if you know about our disaster operation, we have 2,000 ready reserves. And they go from the ice storms in Maine to the wildfires in California to, you know, the tornadoes, and then down to the Gulf Coast. And they're there on the ground, and they're making both housing loans and small business loans. And those are direct loans. But for our structure across the country, we can't match the reach that 5,000 affiliated lenders might have with us. So we are very much in partnership with our lenders. We're going to rely on you, and you really have responded coming back to the SBA programs.
I got this question a lot last night. Can you describe in greater detail the 3% loan program being rolled out by the Treasury Department? There appears to be a lot of interest.
Well, that's good news, and I will rely on the Treasury to fully describe it, but the idea is to get access to capital down in some of the banks with $1 billion or less, and it involves a limit on the amount of capital as a percentage of the risk-adjusted capital in the bank, and a lower rate for at least the first 5 years. So those are the bones of it. We can get you connected to our folks and Treasury folks who can help you get into that program. They are working very hard on operationalizing it right away.